Hello, this is Soul of Bass. You're watching TCK Gets Real. This blog is going to be about my time at a boarding school in Malaysia called Dalat School. It is located on the island of Penang. It didn't start in Malaysia though. As you may already know, Dalat is the name of a city in Vietnam. The school started initially in Vietnam, but because of troubles there, they decided to move to a safer location. They moved to Penang, have since been there until now. When you're talking about the span of 2 years, which is what I spent at this boarding school, the best way I could think of to explain is by looking at different moments, the defining moments. Once again, this is not a sob story, and I hope to be able to share some of the pain I went through, and I hope to be able to share some of the joys I went through. Hopefully, people who watch this can also relate to the things I've been through, and maybe can also find healing through knowing that they're not the only ones going through such things. I'm going to show you real quick a picture of what I looked like during boarding school. Up until this age, I looked very much like a nerd. I'd had glasses since I was 7 years. I was a bit skinny, puny if you will, and I was really easy target to pick on because I had a quick temper and I was socially awkward. I was, intelligent in a way, but just socially very unintelligent. I didn't understand the art of kissing up, of apologizing things. I always had this sense of justice and I always thought things were unfair for me throughout my life and that I deserved something, I deserved a special treatment. When I went to boarding school, one of the first things I faced was entering a culture that I wasn't prepared to enter. I'd been shielded for most of my life living with my family as missionaries, and I was a missionary kid, and a lot of the things of the world were shielded from my eyes, such as music and movies. I hadn't seen a single Star Wars movie. I didn't know all the bands that people knew once I got to that school. I was listening to DC Talk, Newsboys, which are Christian bands, and my parents wouldn't even let me listen to some Christian bands because they couldn't hear the lyrics. And that's how strict my parents were about what music I listened to. This school was also very strict, but most of the kids who were there had already experienced secular music, had already experienced a lot of secular culture, had watched MTV. And I had never watched MTV. That knowledge is really what set people apart from being the in crowd, the cool crowd, knowing what's cool and what's not. I didn't really want to like these things just because it was cool. I thought what I liked was cool. I wanted to be accepted for who I was and for what I liked, but it wasn't to be. You have that thing where you're kind of a nerd, you're going into this new situation, people don't know you, and you start jostling for a position at the beginning, and it's really quick for them to realize that, hey, I don't really fit in, I'm not really cool, I'm not fun, I don't know anything, I don't know jack. One of the moments that really put this forward was during a PE class. The PE teacher was asking us at the beginning, kind of getting to know us, kind of make us think that she's real cool. She says, okay, I want you to write on this piece of paper. The question was, what's your favorite music? Up until this point, I felt kind of ashamed that I liked Christian music because it was totally not cool to like Christian music at that time. So I didn't dare writing down any of the bands that I knew, and instead I just wrote down alternative rock because I thought, hey, people won't crucify me or think I'm really uncool if I write down alternative rock because that's mostly what they listen to. And they were all writing down bands like Nirvana, I think that was mostly the favorite one, Smashing Pumpkins and Weezer, and Foo Fighters. And when the teacher is reading them out, she gets to mine, she says, alternative rock. No, I was looking for bands. I felt kind of ashamed that I'd written alternative rock. It felt like it was another way of not feeling like I fit in. Felt dumb, to be honest. Most of the kids were writing things on the boards like Zero. And I had no idea when I first saw it. I was like, Zero? Why are they writing Zero? Why is Zero so popular? Why are people wearing Zero t-shirts? And it was the Smashing Pumpkins. Of course, I had no idea. The Smashing Pumpkins were huge. I didn't know about them at that point. It's ironic that they would later on go on to be my favorite band ever and probably escape the minds of those who really loved them at that point. It was just a pop fad, if you will. Eventually, I would go on to listen to Weezer, Smashing Pumpkins, and I would sort of associate my identity with them because I longed to be cool, I longed to be accepted. So when some people asked me what kind of music I like, I thought, oh, I can be cool by saying I like Weezer because Weezer's cool, and I could be cool by association. That really isn't true, though. I mean, it's stupid, but this all kind of led me to being kind of like an outcast. I wouldn't per se say I was bullied in an obvious way, but it was like in non-obvious ways. I was always left out. Things were being said behind my back. Even some names were being called, and I felt like socially I was being bullied. I wasn't actually beat up at this point. No one was like taking my lunch money. It was a very kind of emotional, psychological bullying where I really felt like an outsider, and I felt like no one liked me at all. And at one point I talked to my dorm father about this, and I didn't know how to word it very well, and he didn't take my request to look into this bullying for me very seriously at all. He's just like, I don't think there's anything I can do, blah blah blah. To his defense, I was socially awkward and an easy target, but I felt like there was, at least he could have shown me some love, some kind of empathy, some kind of feeling like I know what you're going through, something real, something that showed real love. But he couldn't show that to me. And of course, when you're in boarding school, you feel very alone in certain situations. But at the same time, you're never alone. You're never alone in boarding school. People are always around you. You have a roommate, and maybe even you seek privacy, but you can't even go out by yourself. You have to go out with a partner. Next moment I'd like to share is a bit funny. Of course, this is the age where you're beginning to discover sexuality and whatnot, and I'm not going to delve too far into that because I think that's just a little bit too personal. I know I'm really personal with these videos, but going there is, I don't think it's the right time for that. But the funny story is that this was my first roommate. His name is Kenneth. One time, some of my dorm mates actually caught him masturbating in the library during study time. He was looking at a book that had pictures of airplanes in the old war times. In the old war times, they painted pretty sexy depictions of women on the airplanes. So he was masturbating to that, and he was caught. How embarrassing could that be? But this guy was like, he was so shameless. They actually was able to make it seem like he was cool by doing that. Like, they made fun of him a lot, but the way he was able to like just bounce it off of him, I could never do that. Like, I would be so angry and so upset, but for him, it's just like bounces off. He was just, I want to show you a picture right now, and this is a picture of my dorm. We play floor hockey every once in a while, and there was one game where I wanted to play goalie, and they let me play goalie, and I was really hot that day. I was playing like crazy. I was making all the saves. I think only a single goal was scored on me the whole game, and I could really see by the end that my dorm father, who was playing on the team against me, was getting frustrated. He was like, oh man, can't believe you saved it, like really getting frustrated. And it wasn't like a congratulations. It was like, I can't believe this dorky little kid can actually keep me from scoring any goals. I found that a bit strange. So you see in this picture a lot of my dorm mates there. But there's something that I took really personally, and I still take quite personally too. It was on one occasion when the dorm decided to go on this trip to this island. And we're all on this island, right? Some of the older dorm mates like to haze some of the younger ones, like to do tricks, teasing, and there's different ways of doing this. And well, all my dorm mates grabbed me and pulled down my trousers while I was swimming and left me in the beach. And I was pissed. They're all at the beach laughing. Even my dorm father and dorm mother were amused at this. And I just, so enraged, I turned my back to them and I just gave them the middle finger. And I said to myself, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I did that. Not too proud of it now, but I'm not too proud of what happened too. Some people really can take these jokes, but I say don't dish it out to somebody who isn't the type of person who would dish it out, you know? Like, I would never have done that to anyone. Like, I know I'm not innocent. I've done teasing, but something like that, it's just, I was an easy target. It just wasn't fair for them to do that to me. Excuse my language. I want to be real with you. That's what I said. That's what I thought. And being angry is no excuse. That's what I did. But some things did happen later on in my time at the dorm that kind of allowed me to gain some kind of coolness cred, if you will. At one point, I walked in on two of my dorm mates, Jeremy and Clinton, while they're looking at pornography.